Hello, you're welcome to today's video. In this video, we will be exploring the use of attribute rules to auto-populate attribute tables of feature based on relationship with another feature. We will be working with Nigerian local government boundary map, and we'll be creating sites within the map. And whenever a site is created, it derives its attributes from the parent, the polygon, which is the local government boundary map, and fixed in the attribute table of the site. So in doing that, we will be doing some other site work, which is to create incremental IDs. So for each new site created, an ID will be assigned. Another site created, it will be assigned an incremental ID. And then we will combine these IDs with the local government IDs in order to form a well-structured IDs, well-formatted for use. And this is very useful for our field apps configuration, and also for other editing works. So let us take a look at exactly what we are talking about. So we have the local government map, we have the site and the local government map. This is the attribute table for the site and the attribute table for the local government, 774 local governments. So this is the local government name automatically derived from the local government attribute table. And then the IDs, if you look at the IDs, it has two sections. The first 4 digits are also derived from the local government field called LGA ID. And the second part is the part that is derived from the incremental IDs generated. So let us just see exactly what we're talking about. So when a new site is created, you will find out it will begin to generate these details automatically, depending on each of the local governments that the site is created. So if you can see, this is 243, and then the next one will end with 244. So this part is incrementing the IDs, while this other site is taking the ID of the parent this in polygon. And then there is also another rule that we enforce to ensure that the number of digits remain fixed. So if you continue and it gets to the thousands, one of these zeros will be eliminated. So this is very, very important. It will help in many ways in configuring our field applications, as well as our editing, streamline our editing workflows to save time, as well as errors while working with our data. So what are the steps we will take in achieving all this? The first step, we will create a file geodatabase, empty file geodatabase, and then we'll import the local government feature class into the geodatabase. And then we will create a brand new site feature class, and we'll ensure that the point feature class has two fields, which is the first one will be local government ID, and then the second one will be the local government name. And all these will be derived from the parent polygon. And then we will load these two maps, the point feature and the polygon feature, on the map. For the polygon feature, which is the local government administrative boundary map, is optional. So whether you load it on a map or not, it will still work perfectly. Okay, so yeah, after that, the next step will be to generate the global IDs. The global IDs is very important to generate because without that, you will not be able to work further. And then next is to create a database sequence, which is the generation of the sequential IDs. And then we will now get to the level of configuring the attribute rule. The attribute rule is powered by Arcade expression. And the Arcade expression will go step by step. First will be to implement the incremental ID. And then the next will be to assign the local government name to the each of the points created. And then thirdly, we will now combine the IDs as well as the local government IDs, and also format it in a way that it will be well structured. Okay, so now we have an empty map. Let's go to catalog and create a brand new file geodatabase as we planned earlier. We will put it within our project and we'll call it attribute rule AR tutorial. Yeah. So that has been created, and so we have local government. We have a local government map here. So let's just import it. So I will just copy it and paste it here in our AR file database. Yeah. And after doing that, I want to make this our default geodatabase so that whenever we work, it's saved there. So the next is to create our point feature class. So we'll go to new and create a feature class. And the first feature class, so the first feature class will be sites. So I'll call it sites, and alias is sites also. And we are creating a point. So next, so we field will be the local government LGA name. Yeah, it's a text. And then the next is LGA ID, and that is also a text because the end result we will be combining with other data types to complete it. And so next, we are using WGS 84. Next, use the default. So points created. Let's just use a beautiful. So let's pick electrical charges as our and the base map. So let's use the So let's not forget to create the global ID to generate global ID because it's a requirement for attribute rules. Also, the local governments, we also have to generate. I think it has already been generated. Yeah, so that's already generated. Now we also need to bring in the local government map, although I don't fancy. So let's change this to So we have our local governments here. Let's also try to do our labeling. Symbology. So let me check the color. Let's make it some lighter color. And then we label our LGAs. So these are our two feature classes, as we earlier said. The next thing we will have to do is to generate sequential IDs. So let's go to create database sequence. So when you search create database sequence, you have to here. And so you want to define the workspace. So let's refresh it. Yeah. So that's the workspace. And then the sequence name, let's give it a name, and please don't forget the name because you will be needing it. So we'll call it, I want to call it my IDs, right? So let me write it down, my IDs, right? And then, so what is the start sequence? Depending on what you want to start, you can start from hundreds, you can start from 1,000, but me, I want to start from 1. And what is the incremental value? I want to increment for each newly created site, it should increment by just 1, and then it's created. So it has been created at the geodatabase level. It can, within each geodatabase, you can make as many calls to these sequential values that have been created. Now, the next thing is for you to let's take a look at our attribute tables. So you have an empty attributes. There is no site created yet. And then we have the local government table with the local government name, which we will be calling, as well as the local government IDs that we'll be calling. Now the configuration will be done for the sites. So the configuration will be done for the sites, and for you to start the attribute rule configuration, you right click and come to design. There are other ways to get there. Usually get mine from this, right click and then data design and then attribute rule. From this, you are now seeing the different types of rules, which is the calculation rules, which I mentioned earlier. In the calculation, you have immediate calculation that will be triggered for each new site that is created. And then you have also the batch calculation rule. Then this is constraint. The constraint will hinder you to go further whenever a rule is violated. And then the validation is for quality control of existing data that you have. And then you want to validate whether the data is correct based on certain rules that have been set. So in this case, we want to do an immediate calculation. So I will say add immediate rule, and then it will open up. You see here. So for now, let me pull this up. It's asking you the name of the rule. So you give a name. This first rule is for us to assign local government to each of the sites created, local government name to each of the sites created. So I want to just write LGA name. Yeah, LGA name. So this rule will automatically generate LGA names for each site created. Yeah, and then subtype, you are not dealing with any subtype. Which field you want to populate whenever this rule is triggered is called, I want to populate the local government name, and I will come to the ArcGIS expression. So here we'll be writing an ArcGIS expression, which is a native language, is a language that works almost all ArcGIS platforms. So now, how do you want it to trigger? When a new site is created, it should trigger. When the table is updated, it should trigger. So I think we are okay with this. And then here execution, because we are depending on purely on the local government's name, we are not dealing with the incremental IDs, which is based on the back end, which is created at the geodatabase level. We don't need to exclude from application evaluation. This exclude from application evaluation usually it's a bit difficult to explain, but when we are creating the incremental IDs, which is dependent on the geodatabase level, you will see that it will not allow us to proceed except we enforce this. Now, next is tag. Let's just say LGA, whatever tag you want to give it. And then the next is to create the attribute. So var LGA. So let's just call it LGA. So you always declare the variable using var LGA is feature set by name. Feature set by name. When you use $, you are referring to active, an active element. So in this case, we are talking about the active geodatabase. So we can also use we can refer to the map, but in this case, we are referring to the active geodatabase that we are working on. So what is the name? So we are referring to the data store, $ data store, right? Comma, and then we are referring to we want to pull in the local government feature class, which is called LGA. This is it here. LGAs underscore new. So that's the name of this thing. So for each step we test, so you can see it is valid. You may wish to put this thing. So the next is we want to intersect, because it's a point in polygon relationship. So you want to say try to intersect every new site that is created, intersect with the local government map. So let's say var LGA names. So this is up to you. The names you give a reasonable name that you will be able to be clear enough for yourself. It's up to you. So you want to use the intersect function, intersect. So you are intersecting the LGAs, which is this variable that you've created, LGAs, comma, and you are intersecting with what? Any new feature that is created. So any active one is always called with a $. So feature. So let's test it again. So it's valid. And then you go again to say you don't just want an intersection and it ends there. You want to go further by saying if it intersects, pull out one of those intersected points. And in this case, it's one-to-one relationship, because you create one point in one local government. So, but you want to use a function called first. So var, you call it var LGA name. Okay, no. So let's use this as LGA intersect. LGA intersect. So, and then this side, I think is better that way. LGA name. So you want to pull out the actual LGA. You want to use the first function and say LGA intersect. So you're pulling out this here. So let's test again whether it works. Yeah, so the expression is valid. and then you want to test. So there are points when you create a point outside of these LGA boundaries, and it will become a problem. So you want to give a condition that when it is created outside of it, let it just assign a null value to it. So you just say if you do a conditional statement, if is empty, LGA names, LGA names. So if the LGA name is empty, let it return a null. Let it return a null. So let's test. Yeah, it's still valid. Else, it should return the LGA name. So it should return this first. So return you can simply use LGA. You can simply use LGA underscore new or LGAs underscore new dot the LGA. So you're using the dot notation. I believe it should work. No. Okay. LGAs new. Yeah. Yeah. So it's valid. You can as well just use this, the dot notation, dot LGA. I think it should work. Yeah, it works. So either ways, it will be valid. So as you can see, everything seems to have worked well. So let's try to create some. Everything is fine. Let's try to create some points, local government. I mean, some sites within Abuja. So let's pick the edits. Yeah. So this is the site. Let's try to make it fancy by labeling it, and let's also do some label properties to ensure that the color, text color is not black because we have a black background. Yeah. So here we want it to label. Yeah. So it has labeled Abuja Municipal. Here you can see Karu, but the labeling is on. So let's use the local government name, and let's unlabel this. So here is Gwagwalada, and here it's Kwali. So this is how we've been able to successfully transfer the attributes from the local government uh, field called local government ID, local government LGA, into each of the sites created. And you can see that this will be very useful for those who carry out a whole lot of editing as well as configuring applications, field applications. So let's go ahead. Let's further our process by now populating the local government IDs for each of the sites created. So we will do the same thing by right-clicking, and then we'll go to data design, and then attribute rules. So we'll add another attribute. It's also an immediate calculation, and this time structured ID. We'll call it structured ID. ID, and then description. This rule will generate a well structured unique IDs for every site created. The subtype, you don't need to bother about it. And which field are you interested in populating? You want to populate the local government ID field. So, and then, sorry, here also you want a trigger. The trigger you want an insert as well as updates. And then we can also, the tag, you can just use LGA or any other tag you want to use. But this you need to exclude from application evaluation. Else, it will not allow you to further. For now, I will not do it, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So let me go to where I'll create it. So now I have a stored, or rather use this. Yeah. So this is similar to what we did earlier. So we use a feature set by name function with the $sign, the LGA name. So here you are bringing in the LGA. Here you mustn't include this. This one is just saying all the fields is what you will be, all the fields in the local government feature class is what you need. And then here you are intersecting the LGA and each of the feature that you are creating, you are just intersecting it. And then here you are pulling out the first intersect. It's a one-to-one relationship, so it's just one. But so the function to actually pull out that one entity is to use this first. Then you are checking whether it is empty, whether the point you are creating is within the local government. If it is outside of local government, it will trigger an error. But now here you are using this return null to be able to address that problem. So it will be silent. It will just create a null attribute in the field. Here you are pulling out. So this is the intersected. You are bringing it out here to actually pull out the local government ID. In the local government attribute table, this is the fields that contains the ID of the local government. So you are pulling it out to assign. So for you to even there is a function called console. So let me put this local government ID in console, and then you will see exactly when I run it. When I run it, view console. So when you view console, it's saying it's pulling up one of the IDs of the local governments. So it's actually bringing out the actual ID of a local government. So this is that function. For now, we don't need it, so I will just comment it. Now, the IDs that we created earlier, we call it, I think I call it my IDs. I think so. So I think I call it my ID. So let me see if it is there. Yeah, I think I call it my ID. So it has pulled its database sequence that we created at the geodatabase level using the create database sequence tool in the geoprocessing toolboxes. Now, after doing that, let's use console again to view what this is. So you will see an ID. So let's view the console. So the first is 1. So it is creating just 1. Okay. So let's end it there and say return. return incremental values. So let's see. Here it works, even though we did not exclude from application evaluation. Yeah, so it's not working. And when you bring here, it say exclude from application evaluation. Are you seeing the error message? Because you are creating on the map view and you want it to implement the rule immediately. However, the incremental IDs are created at the database part, which is not at the application level. It is at the geodatabase level. So it's saying, first of all, don't implement at the application level, go to the geodatabase level and implement it. So you are saying exclude from the application level. I have excluded it, and when I save it now, it should be able to clear. So let's begin to create points and see exactly, and then let's change our labeling. Label, let's change it to the ID, local government ID, and then let's try to create new points. So I create a new point here. Okay. So I think this ID is all my IDs. So let's work around it. View our console, and let's look at what. Let's go and let's try to create. And so it has created. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it not beautiful? 5. Every new point we created. Now we want to take it even further by combining the local government ID and make it a well-structured, so whenever anybody sees the ID, should be able to trace to what local government site was created. So in doing that, we are going back to our attribute rule. This is the rule. Let's edit further. So what did we do? We have used the incremental, next sequence value function to pull out the my IDs that was created, which was the database sequence. We'll pull that out, and the next thing we want to do is to combine it. We want to combine it with the we want to first of all polish it. Total number of the incremental values should not be more than how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can make it 4 or 5. So this is a text function. So if you use text, you will be able to control the number of digits. So the other one, when we create it, it just brings out 1, and we want to polish it further. So we have said it shouldn't be more than 99,000. The number of sites we have already planned that it will not be more than 99,000. So we bring this in. So let's see how it is going to be. Save it, and then we'll go to okay. Let's go back to our attribute rule and save accordingly, and let's create new. Okay. Attribute rule. We did not. So say return the local government ID plus the incremental values. So it's supposed to work. Oh, I've already said return incremental values, so that's why it's having the confusion. It has already Yeah. So let's try this. Create a new feature. Yeah, so you can see NAN. So this is the local government ID in combination with 17. However, if you get to the hundreds value, you will see that we have varying number of digits, and we don't want that. So let's even polish it further by going to the attribute rule again, edit it, and then we now apply the text formatting by fixing the number of digits for the incremental values. So instead of using the incremental values, we use formatted values, and then we'll now see that it will take into consideration the number of digits. So let's see again, create, and I'll pick this. So you see NAN 00018. When it gets to hundreds, it will now become 00100. So this is what we are talking about, and you can see I don't need to preach too much. You understand how this will save the time saving, as well as the errors. The error, it will help you to eliminate when you use this method in your editing task. So thank you for listening.